that's the whole point of it, is what an opportunity we have to have another day and to sweat and to laugh with our friends, to watch Game of Thrones. Like, it's just, we're in a very blessed and grateful situation over here in America.
Hey everyone, you're listening to the Lively Charleston Podcast. Our goal with this show is to interact and tell the stories of the amazing people, places, and businesses that make Charleston the best city in the world.
If you haven't already, make sure to subscribe to iTunes, Spotify, and YouTube.
Also, make sure to check us out on Instagram and Facebook, where we drop regular content throughout the week. All right, Joey, Mr. Joey Welling, thanks so much for being on the podcast, man. We're very excited to have you here and talk about what you've been up to.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you for the opportunity.
So we have a lot we're going to talk about here. We're going to kind of take it back to, well before your business and kind of what led up to that. We're going to talk about your business and, some of the principles that you stand by and some of those things. But before we get into that, Alex had a pretty important question.
Yeah. I was sitting down last night and I was thinking to myself, what, I was writing out a couple of questions. I was wondering where we can steer this conversation. But to kick it off, I think what everybody wants to know in Charleston, who knows you.
Don't ask me this question.
Where can I find the best cheeseburger in town?
Oh my gosh. Well, it's a great way to say it that our friend Scott Tansky is, the best way to say it is, if somebody was coming to Charleston, where would you give them the best 100% shot of having a good burger?
Okay.
And in my opinion, there's 2 to 3 that you can't miss on, and that's Little Jack's, Post House,
Solid,
and Moe's Crosstown.
Moe's, okay.
Yeah. I think if somebody was visiting Charleston and they had 3 days, where can I get a great burger?
Okay.
You can't miss it. One of those 3 places.
Moe's, Post House, and Little Jack's.
You got it.
I got it. Moe's is my local stomping ground. What a great little spot.
I know.
And just to segue into this, so you are born and raised in Charleston.
Correct.
Right? Moe's is somewhere you used to go with your parents back in the day, I remember.
I think I was 13 when my parents started taking me there.
Wow.
They didn't care that it was a bar.
So they've been in the burger business for a long time.
Exactly.
All right, so last meal, you're on death row, last meal, like which one are you going with?
I'm having a Moe's cheeseburger with my mom's tomato pie on the side.
Solid.
And I've thought about this. And cookie cake for dessert.
Oh, can't go wrong with the cookie cake, man.
Yes.
Little ice cream on there.
It's one of my favorite questions.
Very nice.
Like, what's your last meal?
Way to kick it off. Way to kick it off. Yeah. Awesome, man. So
and I own a gym.
And I know.
There you go. You got to work off those burgers, right, in some ways. So,
exactly.
Yeah. Ethos is one place to do it for sure.
Yes.
Yeah.
Hey, I think that's great though. If you can look how you look and lead the people the way you do, at your gym, but also say, hey, I like a little cookie cake myself. It's okay.
Give
yourself permission to do it.
You got it.
I think that's great.
Life is short.
Yeah. Absolutely. Awesome, man. Well, hey, let's transition into. We got a lot to talk about here.
Yeah.
Let's go. So, first of all, you're born and raised in Charleston.
Correct.
So, tell us a little bit about how Charleston's changed over the years since you were a wee lad.
Yeah. Wow. I remember. So, I grew up in West Ashley, right near Charlestown Landing. So, not far from downtown. I remember everything from where Ethos is on Hugie Street just 10 years ago. You wouldn't even think about walking. I remember when they built Town Center in Mount Pleasant.
Oh, wow.
And all of us said, what are you thinking? This is 45 minutes away from downtown Charleston. Like, this is not the center of anything. And now look, it is the center of Mount Pleasant.
Crazy.
Wow.
Yeah. So it is wild. I remember I had travel baseball practice out at Park West, and from West Ashley, I mean, that's a solid 45 minutes.
Yep.
And, it was just absurd to me that we would drive that far to go to baseball practice. Now that is like common travel, and watching this town grow with the amount of people that are moving here and the apartment buildings and the wonderful restaurants and really cool hotels. I'm one of the locals, I feel like, I'm excited about it because I've had a crush on New York City, is the best way to put it, my entire life. My dad's from Connecticut, and so I've always been a Yankees fan. And he would take me to Yankee games in the city growing up, even from Charleston. And the best way I can say it, like I said, is I have a crush on New York City. I would never date it or marry it, but I have a crush for a couple days on it.
Yeah.
And but that's the special thing about Charleston. Charleston is that spouse that you want to marry. Yeah. And that's what it's just getting better and better every day, I believe.
Absolutely. I mean, just to kind of play off that, we arrived here a year and a half ago. And the second we arrived into Charleston, it literally felt like home, you know? It's the one city. I lived in New York, I lived in Atlanta, I lived in Europe. Charleston, it just welcomes you with open arms, right? It really does.
It's a special place.
Yeah.
People come together really quickly.
Yeah, 100%. And this is actually one of the reasons why I wanted to have Joey on the podcast, was because when we first moved here, Jeremy was actually the first person that we knew here in Charleston, right? And I was like, right, we got to get Joey on. For the simple fact is, and I kind of want to jump into this, is when we joined Ethos, it was around the corner. You've built such a community there that I've never witnessed or seen or experienced before in my life, and it's incredible. All our friends in Charleston are from Ethos, right?
That's
they really are, and it's a huge community. So when you were kicking off Ethos, I kind of want to rewind a little bit back here. Of like, I know you started Ethos. You're like, it's just over a year now, or a year and a half.
It'll be 3 years this October since I signed the lease.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Was that one of your intentions, was to create this amazing community in Charleston? Or did it just kind of happen with the team that you had around you? Did that just naturally happen?
No, I mean, that was the ultimate goal.
Right.
In my opinion, what I've learned from my 18 years in this business is it's the difference maker. And from us to Gold's Gym, I tell my team this all the time, is a 50-pound dumbbell at Ethos weighs the same 50 pounds at Gold's Gym. And our treadmill that goes 10 miles an hour, well, so does Gold's Gym treadmill. But the difference is the culture, the cleanliness, and the community of it. And that is something that we can implement every day. And I think I wrote this on your questionnaire. It's very simple. You're going to try and get detailed with me, but it's like, how can we make Alex's day better when he walks in? How can we make Grace's day better? And it's that simple. And it could be just a smile and, hey, Alex, hey, Grace, how you doing? How was the weekend? Boom. And just the fact that we know their names. And
that's huge.
Then guess what? They walk towards the back and they see a trainer that they know. And it's just this cool camaraderie. And I don't know, it's cleanliness, culture, and that is our difference maker. But yeah, it was to create this beautiful community where everybody is striving for their own goal, no matter what it is, and everybody is like-minded and they get after it, but also everybody does it with a smile on their face and has respect for each other.
Yeah.
So
yeah, and I mean, when we first walked in, I don't take this the wrong way, but we were like, this is like $1 million gym right here. And it's more than a gym, it's an athletic club, right? You have your sauna and your steam room, you're a cafe, and your interiors are beautiful. And we first walked in, I was worried it was going to be a little bit like pretentious or a little stuck up. But in fact, it was the total opposite. It was the total opposite. Everybody was so welcoming. Going back to Charleston, when we first arrived here, everybody was welcoming and open arms, and that's exactly how the gym was. How do you instill that into the workers there? What do you consciously put that out there? Do you do trainings? How do you keep that friendliness about it?
Yeah, the team will laugh at me, and they know I'm a man of acronyms, and I touched on 2 of them earlier, but we believe in these 3 C's, and that's customer service, cleanliness, and culture. And I've learned, no matter what industry you're in, owning a restaurant, a logistics company, a gym, Lively Charleston real estate group, whatever, you have to keep instilling it. No matter how great your employees are, or your teammates are, we're human. We forget things, and we forget the importance of things. We forget our why, and it is a constant. Like I told Katie, who's our general manager, is we almost have to have a team meeting every 3 to 4 months. And it's a big team. There's over 50 people. And we have to just, unfortunately, you just have to keep pressing it home, your why, and break it down as simply as possible for them. And it's just a reminder. And unfortunately, it's a constant thing. And I don't know, you can't forget about it. If you do, things start to slip. And one thing leads to another. And that snowball just gets bigger and bigger. So
you're spot on. There's an analogy I use sometimes with our team where, to your point exactly, where the way I'll phrase it is that creating a culture and creating, these values and instilling these values, like you mentioned, it's not so much like building a home where you say, hey, we built the foundation, now that's done. And now we're onto the framing, and now the framing's done. And we don't have to think about framing anymore because it's done. And now we're onto the plumbing, the electrical or whatever. It's not that. No. It's more like a garden. And you have to tend to it.
Exactly.
Because the weeds will continue to crop up. And it just never stops. You always have to pull the weeds. You always have to continue to water it and seed it. Otherwise, the garden will die.
Correct.
And it's that same level of energy for those sorts of things, to your point.
Yes. It's spot on.
Yeah.
So let's talk about, here we are. We're talking about ethos. So let's move into that. And there's, I definitely have some questions myself about this. But you mentioned that you started well before you had your own gym. You were working in a gym. Mm-hmm. Were you selling gym memberships? What was your when you were first learning about the gym space and cutting your teeth there? What were you doing?
I was 18, which was 18 years ago. 36 now, and did everything from clean toilets, mop floors, open the gym, close the gym, sell memberships. And luckily, it was at one of the most beautiful gyms I've ever been in. And it's unfortunately not around anymore. And it was downtown Charleston, right near the aquarium. You'd be on the treadmill, overlooking the water and the bridge and the freighter ships, and it was unreal gorgeous. Awesome. But it was beautiful, and I was a very lucky 18-year-old that I get to watch sunrise at 5 a.m. and open that place and turn on the music and turn on the coffee. And so, yeah, I've been doing it for 18 years. And wow. To this day, my team knows this. It's like after I teach on Saturdays, I mop the floor, and I love it. It's almost like meditating. I put on Mumford & Son or Taylor Swift, I'm not going to lie. And I just sit in there. And it's almost like meditation for 20 minutes, just mopping a floor. And I don't know. Yeah. I love presenting a cool place for people to work out. I just want to create this awesome, cool and clean environment with these friendly people. And literally when you walk in there at mood 3, you walk out at mood 7.
100%.
And it's as simple as that, figuring out ways to do that.
Yeah.
So,
and you're in there every day at 5 a.m., right? And that's
almost. Thursdays I get a little break.
But that's super inspiring for people, right? They see the owner of the gym in there at 5 a.m. every day at 4:30, right?
Some days,
he's posting stuff up at 4:30 in the morning.
3:30 wake-ups.
Dark. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that inspires people, right?
Absolutely. You and Jocko up there before everybody else posted on social.
A couple of my buddies who went to the Citadel, they'll always be like, oh, Jocko beat you today. They send me a little text. So,
do you think the Citadel instilled those principles in, like some of those principles that you have, and that motivation and discipline?
It definitely spurred it on. I was very fortunate. I got to play baseball from 7th grade through high school, made the varsity team, and then got to play baseball at the Citadel. But
what position?
I started at second base, and then they moved me to the outfield.
That was my position back in the day.
Second?
Yeah, but like in middle school, not in college.
Oh, yeah.
I loved it.
You're in the heat of it.
Yeah,
every
absolutely.
Play. So, but I'm very fortunate. My coach starting from 7th grade on was this guy named Mike Darnell, who is still the head coach at Bishop England High School. And Bishop England is very well known for their baseball program, even though it's a smaller school. We even beat some of the bigger schools around Wando, Stratford. My friends Sonny and Carl will hate if they're listening to this, but yeah, we beat them pretty much every time we played.
Rub it in. Yeah. Now's your chance. Go ahead and rub that in a little.
But no, Coach Darnell actually went to the Citadel, and he played baseball at the Citadel. And, I mean, discipline was one of 1,000 things that guy taught me, and hard work and effort, but also between the lines, he was an absolute dick. Super smart baseball coach, absolute dick. Hated it.
Yeah.
It was miserable. But outside the lines, he was also this awesome big brother, father figure, coach to me, mentor from 7th grade all the way through senior year. But why I'm bringing that up is he led me to the Citadel. And to be honest with you, physically, the Citadel was easy after working with him for 6 years.
Wow.
But yeah, the Citadel did spur a lot of the waking up, the making your bed, all the little things of wearing your uniform, marching to breakfast, lunch, and dinner. It's a different place. It is definitely a different place. So, and we can get really deep into that if you want. So,
so you let's talk a little bit about what the name Ethos means and how you came up with that, and what some of the principles we've talked about: customer service, culture, and cleanliness. The 3 C's.
Correct.
But let's talk a little bit about how you came up with the name Ethos, and then just maybe expand a little bit on what your mission is for now in the future.
Yeah, cool story. One of my heroes in my life is Howard Schultz, and a lot of people probably don't know who he is, but he made Starbucks. He wasn't the actual creator of the name. It was just a not a brewery, where they brew the coffee. Then he said, he worked there, and he said, I think we need to turn this into cafes and stores. Anyway, he made Starbucks. And his book, Onward, which I recommend everybody reading, it's fabulous, one of my favorites of all time. Anyway, I'm reading the book. This is when I owned my old gym on James Island. So this is probably 8 years ago now.
Okay.
And I'm owning a gym already. And then I come across this word ethos. And I'm like, man, that's a cool word. And it looks like it's Greek. I don't know what the hell it means. But it's a cool looking word and it sounds cool. If I ever own another gym one day, I don't know how, because I'm owning a gym right now, but I would call it Ethos. And then literally a year after I read the book, I was taking a trip to Seattle and I went into the first Starbucks ever. And I never noticed in the Starbucks that this was at the same time that my current gym was sort of like falling apart and our lease was coming up, pandemic, all this stuff. So I never noticed the water bottles that they serve you at Starbucks are called Ethos.
Oh,
No way, are they?
now that you mentioned it, I can see it.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes.
And so I'm like, all right, what the hell does this word mean? And so I look it up, and it means that team has great morals, a good character. They have good camaraderie. And I was like, man, that is our team at our current gym, except we're on this little 6,000 square foot facility on James Island, and nobody knows about us. I mean, the people on James Island know, but I was like, man, if we could put the ethos of this team at a bigger stage, a bigger platform, everybody in this town could see it. And so the way the world works is the pandemic hit, our lease was ending, we survived the pandemic, but since that lease was ending, we had to figure out, so my partner and I split ways. And then I said, let's go do something bigger and better. And so we found this 21,000 square foot gigantic building that had not one toilet or any running water in it in the center of downtown. And luckily, I'm from Charleston, and I knew what's going on down by Wagner Terrace and Hampton Park. And I knew how popular Hugie Street was as like a vein between Meeting and King Street. And I said, this seems golden. I think this is where you would want to do it. And we lucked up with some parking, and we pulled the trigger. And so that's how Ethos, the name, came about, and that's how the whole company was built. So
That's brilliant. It's such a good story. And like, one of your things on the wall is Born from Resolve.
correct.
Charleston, Born from
Correct.
Resolve.
Yes.
Can you elaborate on that? Because I think that really translates into Ethos as well, right? Big time.
Oh, huge. So the first person who ever knew about Ethos, besides me, was my really good friend Dan. And Dan is what I would call the man of shadows. A lot of people don't know him, but also he lives 6 months here and 6 months in Hawaii. He is one of the best graphic designers in the entire world. Worked with some big-time clients that I can't really even name, and he freelances. and he happens to be one of my really good friends. And I told him about this idea of Ethos. And Dan he's a health freak, like always eating fruit and fish and working out and diving and doing all that cool stuff, surfing. And I told him about it. He goes, man, I want to help you design this. Like, let me help you. And so Dan knew the story of the pandemic. He knew the story of the lease ending. He knew the story of our old landlord. I tried staying on James Island, but our landlord would not let us. She specifically said to me, I don't want your gym or your business in our shopping center anymore. And to this day, 5 years later, it's vacant. There's nobody there.
Oh my God.
And so Dan knew the story, and Dan's great with all of this branding and things like that. Dan's the one who came up with Born from Resolve. He's the one that came up with Better Earned on the wall. Like, he doesn't just come up with the look and the art of it. Like, he's the just do it guy. It's not just the Nike check.
Yeah.
Right.
And so we have the same sort of mindset.
Yeah.
Obviously, he's way better at it than I am. But yeah, he knows it. He knows the story.
He did all those logos with, when you walk into the gym, you see on the left and the right.
He drew those by hand.
Did he? Wow.
Yeah.
No way.
Hermes.
Did he? Yeah. It's kind of like, when I first saw it, was kind of like the yin and the yang a little bit.
Exactly.
Right? That's the meaning behind it, right?
It is.
A little bit.
It is yin. What is it? Yin and yang.
Yin and yang, yeah.
But it also, there's Hermes, who's the Greek god of athletics. And he's also the Greek god that would travel to give messages to all the other gods. And he was, that logo, that look of Hermes was my first ever Joey Welling personal training logo.
Oh, nice.
And Dan took it and then souped him up, made him a little more muscly. I'm a little older now, so he put a little beard on him, things like that. And then we have he drew this other icon, which is a cat or a tiger or a liger, whatever the hell it is.
Yeah.
It's just this badass cat. And there's not one that's good or evil.
Okay.
Sort of like yin and yang. But yes, they go off of each other. And the whole meaning behind that, especially with the cat one, is the demons that we all face in our lives, whether it's having trouble waking up to work out, maybe it's a drug or alcohol issue, whatever it is, that's what that one plays on. And that one, that's why that one's black.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Okay. And something you've mentioned in the topics that we touched on was those rainy days, right? Going back to those rainy days, and I'm assuming what you meant there was those tough times that you went through. Mm-hmm. That's what builds character.
You got it.
Right? That's what builds that character.
Plant can't just grow with sunshine.
Yeah. Well, there you go. Yeah, that's a great one. Yeah.
So what sort of, specifically with the business, for people that don't know, what services do you guys offer? What type of fitness facility? There's a whole bunch of, at least when I was a kid, getting into working out, I had a YMCA membership or like any sort of Globo gym there. That was it. We didn't have the boutique gyms. We didn't have the more niche type of offerings. So what do you guys specifically do at Ethos?
Well, I think you just said it best. Everybody's like, where'd you come up with the idea of Ethos, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, well, to be honest with you, this is what the fitness industry used to be 20 or 30 years ago, before Lululemon and before yoga studios. Yeah. You used to go to yoga at the gym. You used to go to the step class at the gym.
Crazy concept.
Yeah, I know.
Right there.
And then everything just went to yoga studios, spin studios, CrossFit, Orange Theory, things like that. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's cool. That's great. But the whole concept was, why don't we do this again, but add a little customer service, add a little cleanliness, add a little culture, and let's just do it better. And I mean, that's how the world works anyway. Nobody's really creating something new or that much anymore. They're just doing old ideas better.
Amen.
But anyway, think YMCA. You come in, you can work out on your own. Personal training is available. Yoga classes. We even have Pilates now. And then we have a HIIT class that we call Rush, which is just a really high intensity class that everybody loves, but so does the yoga, and the Pilates is taken off too. Yeah. But it's just I just wanted to create this badass place for people to work out, and I wanted it to be clean.
Yeah, I can tell it is. I love it. It's an amazing place. Like Rush for me is It gets me out of the bed in the morning, I'll be honest, right? If I book rush, I have to be in there for 6 or 7 a.m., right?
Exactly.
But that's all you need. It's just that little bit of push, a little bit of accountability. But it's a high energy class, right? And it's everything that I loved in CrossFit, but just not the Olympic lifting, and because I don't really care about, just
correct.
I don't want to lift heavy weights. I'm in there just to sweat it out, get a pump in, leave out, good high energy music, leave there, and then if you want, do some free weights after. But you do offer, you also have that yoga studio, but they do like awesome stuff like mindset work.
Oh yeah, that's right. We have a class that got developed by a couple of our trainers, Allison and Katie, and they created this class called Mind Work. And it's literally at 5 a.m. on Mondays and Wednesdays and early in the morning. And you go in there, you can bring a cup of tea. Coffee's not allowed, but tea is allowed, supposedly. I don't know what the big difference is. They will teach you that. But they give you, like, the first 15 minutes is a set of mindset, like ask you a question. I think last week's was, if you had 1 extra hour in the day, what would you do with it?
What an awesome question.
And then so you think about it for 10 or 15 minutes, and then you can journal, you can read whatever book you want to read, bring it in there. And it's just to and it's a 45-minute class. And then you go about your day, and it's not even 6 a.m. yet.
I love that.
And it sets the tone, and so many people are catching on to it. I think we're going to have to add a morning.
Yeah.
I love that. I'm a huge fan of that.
Because
that's a great idea.
I'm the same way. You know how you said when my alarm goes off and I'm signed up for rush class, I have to be there? Mm-hmm. It's the same. I would love to meditate or have somebody tell me I have to read.
Yeah.
And that's what inspired the class, is that there's other people out there that we realize want that same thing. So
you guys are really pulling in I was going to say the concept. That's not the right word, but just, I guess, the concept of health, but from a lot of different places. It's not just lifting weights or, getting a pump or hit, or like you're pulling a lot of things in.
And you have the run club as well every Thursday.
Hey everyone, I hope you're enjoying the video so far. At Lively Charleston, not only do we love talking about all the amazing things there are to see and do in our awesome city, but we also love helping our clients buy, sell, and invest in Charleston real estate. If you would like to learn more about the Charleston real estate market, feel free to give us a call or shoot us an email. We'd be more than happy to help you strategize and create a game plan that will be sure to help you hit your real estate goals. And now, back to the video.
Okay, we're back. So we're diving into Ethos, this amazing facility that you've created, invested so much time and financial resources, I'm sure, taking a huge risk on it as well. I think that's not, as a business owner myself, I can relate to, now it's like, oh, of course, it's a perfect location. Like, obviously, that's an easy decision. But at the time, like you said, you're like, I think this is a great idea, but there's a fine line there between, it's always easy to look back and say, obviously, but it's still scary as shit when you sign on that line and you don't know what the future holds.
Yeah, I think there's 2 quotes that I love to live by, and the team knows that I say this, but there's one is you got to take calculated risk, and then there's sometimes you got to jump off the cliff and build the plane on the way down. I said, maybe we can jump off the cliff, but we know exactly how much time we have until we hit the bottom. So I think that's a combination of those 2 quotes that we sort of live by. And so, like, we're doing it, just to go back into other cool things that we do, is our recovery space area. Yeah. And we have these beautiful ice baths that nobody in Charleston has what we have. They're about $18,000 each. It's the same ones that Joe Rogan uses. And then we have an outdoor sauna. But I mean, we've spent $100,000 on this outdoor recovery area with a little bit of a risk. Like, are people going to use this? Is it going to be worth its time? But the team is 100% all in, and we believe it's going to work. And we believe not only is it going to work, but we just, once again, it's a accommodation to make somebody's day better. And we want to make people feel better. And so that's why we're doing it.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely going to work. Already people are trying to line up and get onto it. I know that for sure. Me.
Couple weeks.
Yeah. We're still waiting for that water to come in, isn't it? Yeah.
Well, to your point, there's businesses, successful businesses and business models that offer only that.
Yeah.
So it makes a lot of sense if you're just pulling it into your community already.
Yeah.
It can work as a standalone, so it'll definitely work, as a part of a bigger package.
Correct.
Like it goes back to what you said, it encompasses everything what gyms used to be and athletic clubs used to be back in the day.
Yes.
Now you're just adding this on, and cold water plunges and cold therapy is becoming massive right now, right?
Huge.
It's huge.
And it works.
Yeah. Wim Hof. Are you going to be doing some classes of Wim Hof or any of that?
Yeah, so we have what we call breathwork classes.
Nice.
And we're studying everything from what Wim does to Laird Hamilton. The brand that we have is, I'm pronouncing this wrong, the ice baths are Mizuko.
Yeah.
Anyway, they have their own certification for it.
Oh, nice.
So we have a few instructors that are starting to learn that right now, which is really cool.
Very nice.
So
I just love it. You're taking the risk and going for it, I think it's brilliant. Nobody else has it in Charleston.
You know what you did is, as you were saying this is kind of what came to mind, where you're talking about how fitness used to be, which was the big gym has all the stuff, right? And then these little niche gyms started popping up. And if you think about it, they couldn't compete on, if you were to compare, like firepower, they couldn't compete. They didn't have the same resources. They were much smaller, but they kicked the big gym's ass on community.
There you go.
That was the thing, right?
There you go.
And that's why they popped up and they were very successful. And it seems like what you're doing is you're going back and saying, hey, the model, the firepower was there, but the community sucked. Correct. So if you can combine these two concepts, now you have a home run.
Yeah. It's, people can, I always get, this is my dinner question when I'm out to dinner and when people realize I own a gym. Oh, what do you think of CrossFit? What do you think of Orange Theory? And they're trying to begging me to answer. And I go, without CrossFit or Orange Theory, this world would not be as healthy of a place as it is, or this country would not be as healthy as a place as it is now. I know we're still behind a lot with this country and obesity and all that stuff, but we would be a lot worse if it wasn't for those two. And, the coolest thing, I did CrossFit, out of CrossFit in Mount Pleasant for 6 months. And day one, they didn't know who the hell I was, but people were cheering for me. I'm like, this is awesome.
Yeah.
I suck at this, but they're still cheering for me. And that culture is beautiful. And that's what I love about CrossFit so much. And then it sort of goes the same thing with Orange Theory is, they created this. Think about it. Most people that take Orange Theory, I guarantee you their average age is somewhere around upper 30s to low 40s. And what are people doing in their lives at that age? They have kids, they have jobs, they're married. And so they don't have time to think of their own workout to go into an open gym with free weights and do. They want to be told what to do for 45 minutes and get the hell out of there. And that's why that concept works. And they're all doing it with the same age demographic people that are going on what they're doing with their lives. And so it's a beautiful thing. And so people are working out because of it. So,
Yep.
And it's a great outlook on it too. And, instead of it's easy to just kind of, whatever, shit on your competitors or find something wrong, but to take the good thing out of what they're doing and see where there's an opportunity to build it into what you're doing, I think is just a phenomenal approach to that.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. They're great.
Joey, I know you were talking before, I might have been another podcast or video, but you were mentioning, and this is a question I had for you, is what would be your recipe for living a healthy, optimal life? And the gym obviously is a vehicle or a tool for building a healthy body, but what else is important to you to live? Not just working out physically, but what else? Like something that you can add to that?
So a few things. The three things that I'm personally working on that I've never really worked on before, these were my New Year's resolutions, were a little bit better sleep pattern, as in, I'm not saying am I going to get more hours of sleep, but create more of a routine. And what I was doing when I was a little bit younger is, yeah, that's great. Monday through Thursday or Sunday through Thursday, I'd go to bed at 9 o'clock. Great. Wake up at 3:30 or 4. I'm getting 6-7 hours in. That's enough for me. But then what would happen on Friday and Saturdays, I'd stay out till 10, 11, 12 o'clock at night. And what happens to your body, and what I'm learning, is you try and go to bed on Sunday at 8 or 9 p.m., your body the last 2 nights was up till 10 or 11, 12 o'clock. Yeah. That ain't going to fly. So now I'm tossing and turning in bed till midnight, and I'm waking up 3.5 hours later. Yeah. And that's what gets me. So to create more sleep routine, that's one. Drink more water. I'm not being hard on myself about a gallon or however many ounces. I'm just saying anytime there's water around, drink it. And then the third is sunlight, and trying to just, if I have 10 minutes between clients or meetings or things like that, just walk outside, get a little sunlight, 30-minute walk, whatever it might be. Those are my 3 things that I'm working on. But going back into what you were saying, yes, it's obvious. Everybody should sweat every day. I don't believe you need to set a PR every day, a personal record. That's out the window. I stopped all that at 29. And I said, if I keep trying to do this with every workout, I'm not going to be able to walk at 50. Yeah. You know, and quit being so hard on yourselves. Like, speaking of Jocko, like, I read a great quote from him is, he's like, sometimes all I have is 8 minutes in the entire day because I got to go catch a plane and fly over here and meet this company and blah, blah, blah. And he says, I just go all out on 8 minutes on the rower. And you know what? I got my sweat in today, and I'm not beating myself up over it, because that 8 minutes is better than 0 minutes. And so, you know, it's tough. We're so hard on ourselves, and we try and complicate things so much. It's like, sweat at lunchtime, go eat outside, get some sunlight. But I think a big thing too is you got to work hard and then play hard. But when I mean play hard, Joey's play hard nowadays is playing, to me, is cooking dinner with the fiance and watching Game of Thrones. Yes. You know, you've got to rest. Yeah. And then you got to have a little camaraderie too. Like Fridays, afternoons and evenings is, I love, if I can do it, I'm shutting down. I love all my people at the gym. I love my team. I love my friends, but it's like, I need to shut down. Saturday, I'll go in and teach class. There's nothing more than I love Saturday mornings at Ethos. And then Saturday afternoon is my time to go have a beer with Alex and Scott and the boys and have a little afternoon drink and see friends and see family and camaraderie. And so I think you resting for yourself, but then also having a community aspect to it and being social and being around people that are like-minded and just that put a smile on your face and make you laugh. And we overlook that too sometimes. So
absolutely. And I think people in the fitness industry as well kind of overlook the importance of, and you touched on it there, was just resting and rewinding. And like me and Grace, we have this thing called Wellness Wednesday. Like we'll go out to the beach every Wednesday evening because it's just like connecting with nature, right? That's another massive thing.
Lauren and I do it on Thursday mornings. We go to the beach.
Yeah. Actually, and huge congrats.
By the way.
Oh yeah.
By the way.
New engaged.
It's exciting.
A recent engagement.
That was about 5 weeks ago. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I know you guys do that, and I think that's so important, and people forget about that. And I often do as well. I find myself just go, and I feel like I need to get things done, or if it's in real estate, or if it's working out. And sometimes the most important thing is just to slow down. It's just to slow down, be present, be out in nature, and that's nearly more beneficial than just constantly going on.
Oh, it is, and you know, going back to the workout thing, the other thing that I've personally learned is sort of going back to that Jocko thing of 8 minutes and not setting your PR every day is, and we're so hard on ourselves, is I do believe you do need to sweat every day, because what I learned is I started slipping a little in COVID and the pandemic is I'd take a rest day and then I'd take 2 days off. And then all of a sudden there were some weeks where I took 3 days off and I go, why am I just as achy or more achy and I'm taking these off days? And then I started working out a little bit more, getting back into it. And then what I started to realize too is our bodies adapt.
Oh yeah.
And we forget that. And yes, the first week, the second week, the first month is achy. It sucks. You're going to be sore, blah, blah, blah. But after a while, your knees, your ankles, your hips, if you gradually, progressively overload, hey, I went on a 10-minute walk last week. This week, I'm doing 12-minute walks, 14-minute walks. Same thing with the ice bath, things like that. Or I took 1 rush class. I'm taking 2 rush classes, yoga, whatever it is, CrossFit. You just gradually add. Yeah. You'll notice those aches and pains start to go away. And so what I'm ultimately getting at here is some days, like Mondays are my extremely busy day. Tons of classes I have to teach, meetings, blah, blah, blah. And I usually only have 20 or 30 minutes to work out. It's right around like 3:45, right before the 4:45 class. And that's usually my off day, but I don't take it anymore. And now what I do is I get in there and I put on Led Zeppelin radio, and I'm in there by myself, and I do a couple kettlebell swings. I crawl around a little. All of a sudden, I'm moving my body. By the end of the 20, 30 minutes, I've burned 200, 300 calories of just moving around gradually, not trying to set a personal record, but doing that and I've been on this plan now for about 13, 14 weeks, and my body has felt better than it's felt in I don't know how many years, and I'm 36 years old. I bet it's been 6 years since I felt this good.
Oh, wow.
But yeah, just quit beating yourself up through it. Even if you go through the motions and you're not in it that day, mentally or physically, go through it because it's better than zero.
100%.
So yeah, that's what I'm sort of learning and taking away. Also, I guess I could add that to my 2023 health goals. The water and
every day, get one every day.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
There's a really cool, I guess, analogy I heard from Jerry Seinfeld once, and you're reminding me of this. And he talked about where when he was writing his bits, he said 90% of what he wrote was trash, and he never used it. So on some of those days where he didn't feel like writing, especially when he knew there's 90% chance I'm never going to touch this anyways. What he did, he has a system where he had a calendar on the wall, and he would cross off every day that he wrote, just write something for 5 or 10 minutes, even if it's trash. Just write anything, and he would check it, and the next day he would check it, and the next day he would check it, and then he had a chain. And what happened was he saw there's a chain of like however many in a row, right? 10, 20, 30, 40. And so then his objective anymore, it wasn't to write comedy or to write these bangers that were gonna be these great bits. It was just to not break the chain.
Yeah,
and that was it. That was his new goal, and
that
then
awesome.
The output would just happen on its own.
That is cool.
It sounds a lot like what you're talking about.
that's brilliant. Yeah, it's just those small compounding effects, right, over time.
Oh my gosh!
Like you said, 10 minutes.
Yeah,
just don't break the chain.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's good.
Beautiful.
Love it.
Beautiful. Some of your favorite quotes here. Should we dive into the quotes?
Yeah.
There's a couple good ones here.
Now, I want to bring up a quote you didn't put down is, and I always see it putting it up at 4:30 when I feel, damn, he's up early again every morning. But is what an opportunity we have.
Ooh.
That's a big one. You always say it. And it touches everybody. And people have started reposting it, or they'll put up a picture and they'll write, what an opportunity we have, and then they'll put Joey Welling beside it.
Yeah, it clicked.
It's becoming your quote.
It clicked with me. I heard one of my idols and heroes, I guess I didn't put it on that questionnaire, but is Denzel Washington.
Oh, yeah.
And I love him. He seems, if I could have one of those things, like if you could have a beer with anybody.
Yeah.
Or a cup of coffee, that's what I would do, is Denzel. And I've heard him say it once. And I've heard him say it years ago. And then recently I went to Morocco. I went and saw the dream boats take off, and I went with Jackson, and we went over to Morocco for a few days. And what a beautiful country. But it's also, it's a third world Muslim country. And I'll be honest with you, it smells like a fish market. Beautiful architecture, the people are so kind. But it's a rough place. And, it made me think of, yes, America, we have some bad things going on over here. We got shootings, we got homeless people, whatever it might be. But also, I don't think we realize how great we have it. And, it's when I came back from that trip, it made me think of Denzel's quote. And that's not Joey's quote. That's Denzel's quote of, what an opportunity we have. And it from everything. And to move our bodies, to be able to walk, talk, breathe, to be able to get up in the middle of the night and go pee.
Yeah.
Do you know how many people in this world that have to grab a crutch or a cane or have to get into a wheelchair at 2 or 3 a.m.? Sure. And we forget about that a lot. And so my mindset was posting that is to remind people of, hey, in that post is always at 3:30 or 4 a.m., right?
Yeah.
Well, guess what 3:30 or 4 a.m. is? It's a new day.
Yeah.
And no matter how bad your situation is, this is an opportunity to grow. And even if something doesn't go your way, okay, well, God and this world, they're putting you through the process right now to figure out another way. And what the crazy thing about our lives is we don't realize at that moment, but that way is better. And we don't realize it till days, weeks, months, years later that thank gosh, God in this world and these energies of this world put that obstacle in front of me and gave me this opportunity. So that's the whole point of it, is what an opportunity we have to have another day and to sweat and to laugh with our friends, to watch Game of Thrones. Like it's just, we're in a very blessed and grateful situation over here in America. And I think we tend to forget about it, and we pick and choose what party we want to celebrate. And it's like, come on, can we just eat pasta? It's like, do we have to talk politics, And we're blessed to be where we are and to have the bodies that we have and the minds that we have. It's a wild thing that we keep forgetting about. And so the whole point of it is just to remind people and remind myself as well. So,
Amen.
Yeah.
Amen. That was beautiful.
Amen.
Love that. Yeah.
Absolutely, man.
Maybe we put that at the beginning.
Absolutely.
To catch people.
Just wrap it up. That's it.
That's a great little snippet.
Yeah.
That one's coming out.
Let's see if
video guy. Make sure we get that.
Alex and I are going golfing later. Let's see if I use that when I get an 8 on one of the holes. What an opportunity
when
we
you
have.
bring the club over your knee and Alex is like, hey, you got a great opportunity.
Yeah, you have an opportunity.
Hit it in the sand. What an opportunity you have.
It's a great shot right in front of you.
Yeah.
I love it.
It's just being grateful. Reminding you, just being grateful and having gratitude.
It is.
Yeah, 100%. That's brilliant.
Speaking of being grateful, and we'll start to kind of transition into where people can find you, and then we got our closing questions as well. But speaking of being grateful, there's actually something that we have in common, which I had no idea. Something that not many people know about you is that you also are an unbelievable dancer. Tell us a little bit about that.
Oh, yes,
tell
when
us
I
about
saw that question, it's a secret trait.
I couldn't believe it.
What you need to do is ask anybody, go on Ethos's Instagram or website or email. Alex knows this. You can ask anybody on that team, how are Joey's dancing skills?
So I can verify this.
Yes.
Amazing.
It is unreal. When some songs come on, the way that my hips move,
no way.
The only thing I can remind you of is Shakira.
He's like a young,
I can imagine.
Yeah. It's amazing how similar Shakira
Young
and I
Elvis, I would say also.
Yeah.
Or Shakira. Yeah, both.
I don't have the voice, but I have the hips.
It'd be unfair if you had the voice too.
Exactly. I'd be like Justin Timberlake.
What
sing and dance.
That would be totally unfair. Yeah.
Wow. That's, but what an opportunity. Every new song.
Yes, what an opportunity it is for people to watch me dance. That's the real thing.
And those hips usually come out at 5 a.m. That's when they're swinging.
Yeah, they don't lie.
That's when they're swinging 5 a.m. in those classes. Yeah.
Oh, I love it. Awesome. Listen, Joey, this has been amazing. Thank you so much for coming to hang out with us. If anyone wants to learn more about you personally or Ethos or what you're up to, where can they go to find you?
The best thing, all I have is Instagram. I have Facebook, but I haven't checked it in years. But Instagram is Joey Welling.
So don't go to Facebook.
Yeah, don't go to Facebook. Yeah.
All right, Joey Welling on Instagram.
Walk in the door at Ethos. He'll welcome you.
Check out Ethos.
Yeah, I'll be right there.
Downtown Charleston.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Okay, closing questions. If you could go back in time to, and I'll let you pick how far back. Maybe you go back 3 years to Ethos. Maybe you go back a little bit further. But if you can go back in time to young Joey, right? Not as wise as current Joey. And just give him a piece of advice moving forward. What would you go back and say?
2 things. It would be keep going. I've seen, the other thing would be this too shall pass. And what I mean by that is, yes, good times are going to come, but they're also going to go. And then bad times are going to come, but they're going to leave just as well. But also what I've noticed, not just in the gym business, but any business, whether it's music, whether it's real estate, whether it's restaurants, is, and this is what I mean by keep going, is a lot of people can do it for a day. A lot of people can do it for a week. Some people can do it for a month, and even some people can do it for a year. But it's just keep waking up, keep grinding. You're human, and you're going to have days where you don't feel like doing something. You just do it. And guess what? You're going to have a lazy day every once in a while. Don't beat yourself up. But it's like, don't worry about winning the battle, win the war. And just keep grinding every day, every week. Figure out a way to just, be 1% better a human than you were yesterday. And also, don't forget to smile and laugh, because this world can be a cruel and negative, hard place, and so can our fellow human beings. And you're going to come across some bad ones, but that too shall pass. So, yeah.
Love it.
Beautiful.
Beautiful. Amen. Brilliant.
All right.
Hey,
final question.
Do we have a final question?
We got one more.
Do we?
We got one more. It's kind of along the same vein, but we'll see if you have a different take on it.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. So, if you could give one piece of advice to someone who wants to take the plunge and set up their own business, right? Maybe if it's in the gym world, maybe it's a total different career path. What advice would you give?
Know your why. Obviously, what I just said, keep grinding, keep going. But what's your why? What's your purpose? And I have to remind myself of that sometimes, like, why are we in this? Why do we want to keep growing Ethos? And my why is very basic. It's make somebody's day better. And you got to have that why. You got to know your purpose of what you're trying to create and why you want to help people. If it's money, look, we all want to make money. I want to make money. I hope the gym is successful enough to make money. That's great, but I have a feeling, and I'm not wise enough yet to know this, but I have a feeling if you keep chasing money, you're just going to keep chasing it, and then all of a sudden it isn't going to matter, because you're going to have that car or that house that you want, and that's great. Good, great, grand, wonderful. But you don't have the wife, you don't have the husband, you don't have the kids, you don't have the friends. So, find out your origin, and your origin is your why. And if you have enough belief in that, and you can keep believing in it day in, day out, week in, week out, then you got something. And the other thing I will say, like when I was creating Ethos, was I told a few people about the idea, the dream, the vision. Obviously, my team was stoked about it. And then you have to tell people that are going to challenge you and say, hey, I think you need to do it this way, or I don't know if that idea is going to work. But you also have to be careful of how many of those negative people you tell, because they'll turn your dream into a nightmare, and it'll never happen. So sometimes you got to keep things to yourself. And that's like the core belief that you have to have on your why and your purpose. So, it's a touchy thing, and then the other thing is just go after it, because what happens if you fail? Like, what is the worst case scenario? And when you really think about it, it's not that bad. Like, you gave it a shot, and guess what? You got another 40, 50, 60 years to live and figure this out. So you're going to be all right, and especially if you're surrounded by great people. They're going to help support you to get to where you need to be. So that would be it.
Perfect.
Beautiful. Well said, man.
Yeah.
Well said. This has been a pleasure. Thank you so much for coming out, man.
Thank you so much.
Hey, y'all, that's a wrap on today's episode. Thanks so much for watching. We hope you enjoyed it. Make sure to like or follow or subscribe. Whatever platform you're on, just hit the button to make sure you don't miss any future episodes.
Yep, and please help us grow the channel by sharing it with someone else who might enjoy it as well. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.